Now, now I'm going to skip the reading part because a lot of us might have some sort of understanding of what it is. And I really want to stress this because people will go, no, we know what access is. And, I guarantee you're going to list at least 10 things that none of us know. And so I want to know the broader definition of access and who is, if we can even use it, the default user. And then I want to correlate and connect this to an African design system. What a question. What a question. Well done, me. What is the broader definition of access and who is the default user in the African design system? Tarryn?
On a Monday evening.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
I know. I'm done now. I've used all my...
You out of here.
Could you not have chosen something a little lighter? Could we not have started with maybe on a Wednesday? Oh gosh, I'm still trying to digest my Sunday lunch, but here we go.
Okay.
So I don't know. I find it very fascinating that whenever I see things about access, particularly on banking or on television often people speak about access in terms of financial access, access to, mobile, whether it's devices or services, etc. And very seldomly do they actually think about access for persons with disabilities, or is that narrative included when they speak about access? And so access in this terms, what we're speaking about in terms of universal access, is simply about how do we create spaces, products, and experiences so that the maximum amount of people can use them in a way that is dignified, right? And then how do we build systems that maintains all of those various parts and pieces so that no human being is left behind in what we build. So that, I suppose, is the long and short of how I'd see access. It's the ability for anybody to access what they would need, either for their basic human rights or for their desires and their wants, for, their altruistic needs, right? Spiritual needs, and being able to do that with dignity.
Okay. Now I wanna tag this into, because when you say so we have universal access. This is we're looking across the human scope here when we do that. When it comes to African design systems, is this something that is forefront of it? Are we, because in a lot of ways I think we're leading the pack, because everything else might have been established everywhere else. When it comes to African design systems, we actually have this great opportunity to use whatever's been established and add our little own twists and extra spice to it and that extra creativity and make it even better. Is that what we mean?
Unfortunately, it's not seen as actively. I know many architects that are, advocates of universal design, as they're trying to push this narrative of understanding that we as the continent of Africa have the greatest opportunity in order to build better with access in mind, right? And also to do it cheaper. So unfortunately, it's not, to answer your question, one, it's not as on the forefront as what it should be on the topics of people's mind. Just to get back to your question of who this serves, when we talk about who universal access is, because I think often it is misunderstood as to it only being about persons with disabilities, right? Universal access is not that. So interesting fact, the way that we experience a space currently, the way that a space is designed, when you switch your light on and off, the height of your light switches, the height of your cupboard, the height of many things and products that you experience within your home fixtures and fittings was actually set as a standard by a French architect called Le Corbusier. Please, if there's French listening, don't persecute me for my pronunciation. But he wanted to attempt to do what Leonardo da Vinci did with the Vitruvian Man, of measuring man's dimensions. That is, man's dimensions is very equal and symmetry, lots of symmetry, and to find the golden ratio of how you could incorporate that in design as where you could grab things and make that easy, right? So what he was actually trying to attempt was a kind of a universal design, except that his measurements was based off, a man at 6 foot something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which obviously excluded women, excluded children, excluded anybody that was in a seated position.
Yes.
And so his attempt to create some kind of universal design actually bummed because it excluded all of these other people. And so the reason why the light switch is there is because of a Frenchman many, many years ago who made an error in his judgment of thinking. And then people took that error, didn't question it, and just ran with it. And so now you look at Europe and you see the inaccessibility for example. Now, we as Africa don't need to follow some Frenchman's standards of where things should be, especially if it's wrong. if it's wrong,
Exactly.
you should stop easily just doing the wrong things, especially if it's wrong. And so universal design has been, it's a number of people, and of course there's people even that will be against it, right? Universal design with all things. There's people that would be for things, and there's people that would be against it and say, no, maybe it doesn't do X, Y, Z, etc., etc. But
Yeah.
the designers and civil society, etc., they got together and said, well, firstly, we can't think of this from the medical model of where we say that the issues with the person,
Yes.
and hence the person is broken and the person needs to be fixed, or they need to be accommodated in a specialized place, such as a school or specialized, caring facilities, etc., etc. But we have to look at it through the social lens, which says a person may have an impairment. Everybody has different needs, access needs throughout your life.
Exactly.
No one is born running out to their parents' womb and grabbing the coffee cup and stuff like that. So we all go through periods of not being able to help ourselves, and then through temporary injuries or situational injuries, etc., etc. So it's about, we all have different access needs, and we all have different cognitive abilities and other physical abilities to various degrees, right? We can see that with eyesight, we can see it with hearing, we can see it with just the way we're just all different. Okay, so it says that disability is a result of a mismatch between the person's impairment and the environment that they are in. But then when we look at saying, okay, so that's disabilities, and that's kind of like the most extreme. We use disability as the most extreme, the outlier cases.
Okay.
When you design for the outlier, you design for everybody else. So it's got, in design, we call it the cut curb effect. Okay, the cut curb effect is the effect that speaks about how things that were innovations that were created for people with disabilities are being utilized every day by non-disabled people, such as the cut curb. When you drive down your driveway, your car, when you push your trolley up there, when you skateboard, when you ride a bicycle, those are meant for wheelchair users, and we all benefit, right, by it. Elevators, lifts were made for the wheelchair users, and we all benefit by lifts.
Yeah.
Closed captions. We sit these days, and it's have shown that most people would, when in noisy environments, would consume content with closed captions. It's a video, we put on closed captions so we can read because we don't want to disturb whoever's around us when you're laying in with your partner and you don't want them to hear,
Yeah.
wake them. So that's the cut.
Something like
The
subtitles or
Exactly. So that's the effect of when you actually design for persons with disabilities, you design all of us benefit,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Systems where we're able to clap and the lights go on and off and automations and that
Yeah.
are a lot of technologies and systems that were created for persons with disabilities.
Oh my word. Exactly.
But no one frames it like that, right? So we still see it as disability as this other thing that doesn't, involve us or and when this is about all of us. So
Yeah, exactly.
really about saying how do we start putting people in the center of design. Now
Yeah.
it's a very Silicon Valley term, but this human-centric design, etc. But it really is about that. I mean, if you think about how crazy it is, architecture should first serve the humans that are
Exactly.
utilized, right? It shouldn't be about the design first, and then the design is only accessible or enjoyed by a certain segment of the population, because the others
Exactly.
actually don't experience it the same way. So it's about saying, how do you design from the onset?
Yeah. So
And this is where Africa has that in our systems. This is to lead on to a question, Dougal, about Africa and where this opportunity for us is. It's because Africa isn't retrofitting, Africa is building, right?
yeah.
With increased urbanization, and by the year 2050, I think 65% more of Africans will live in urbanized environments.
Okay.
So that means the buildings that we are building today is going to affect how Africa moves,
Oh wow.
and what that impact is going to continue to place on things like our healthcare and our infrastructure and all that if we don't get it right. So we've got an opportunity to change Africa drastically if we act now. But if we don't, and if we get to just try and follow, the global north in our thinking and, not use our principles in our design, like our principles of Ubuntu,
Yeah.
right? Our principles of the way we design around, like, with the center being where people gather and like our kraal and our huts around. It's not just protection, it's the way that people build in order to protect and keep yourself safe and all of these things. But if we don't actually put people at the center of that, then no matter how wonderful the materials that we use in Africa, if we use clay, if we use, innovative ways in which we can cool and move around, that's great. But if a large percent of the population still can't access it,
Exactly.
or even a small percentage, just if it's not, then it's not usable. It's not that great then.
Yeah. So something that I was thinking about, and I know the two of us spoke some time back, and I mean, just looking at accessibility, one of the things the two of us spoke about was the fact that there's many places as well that actually doesn't cater for the elderly, because you actually get, and that affects everybody because we're all going to get old one day, that the accessibility even for an elderly to go on holiday or go somewhere, it's not as flexible and not as innovative, obviously, to assist, because we're all going to get there eventually.
Exactly. So it's also that not understanding. I don't know. Somehow we also, we human beings have this, ideologies that, I don't know, like this. No, not ideologies. Ideological way of thinking, like we're never going to get old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to get, we're going to just live young forever. And I will think about tomorrow when tomorrow comes, and I'm going to live literally day. And then you find yourself in your house and you can't move around
There we
because
go.
leg, and and now you're elderly, and now your kids are living their life, and now you're upset with your kids because they hardly come and visit, and you need help around the house.
Yeah.
There we go. You see? Exactly.
Tarryn, let me ask you this. Why do you think universal access should be seen as an economic opportunity?
Well, it's quite simply the more people that can access your products or services, the more people that will spend the money, the more people that spend, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. I want to be able to access services and pay for it. More people, if I'm a business owner, more people can reach my products. That's as simple as that. I'm making more sales.
Yeah.
From the term of how universal access, we think, okay, also let's speak, just think about job creation.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, less than half the opportunities exist for persons with disabilities than do for non-disabled people,
Sure.
right? In terms of accessing employment. But when we just think about it, I mean, creating employment, and that is due to inaccessible work environments, by the way. That's due to inaccessible work, inaccessible offices, right? So if we had better infrastructure, then more people would be able to participate economically, which means that they would spend more money, which means that they would pay taxes, right? Which means that they would have money to purchase mobility devices such as electric wheelchairs. So now
So true.
they gain more independence, which means also, yeah, you know, it's when we look at how our GDP is measured, and we just think about the exclusion of persons with disabilities. Right? We just see that this is not just a humanitarian, because every person with a disability that's not at home, that's not in work, but that's sitting at home, unable to participate actively in the economy, is a drain on the economy.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
true.
It's lost labor, it's lost consumer spending, and it's increased dependency on welfare.
I do believe we do have a comment there quickly before we continue, Dugald.
Yeah, so let's just check in here. Thanks, Tarryn. Just 1 second. Let me just check in here with this comment quickly that we have, and then we'll get back to Tarryn.
Hey, Hubert.
Hello, Hubert. Hubert says, is access for persons with disabilities being treated as a compliance box-ticking exercise rather than being intentionally designed from the start, making inclusion reactive instead of meaningful? Tarryn?
Wow.
Absolutely. That's exactly what is happening, Hubert. And unfortunately, in many countries, even on a, policy level, it's lacking, right?
Is it?
And yeah, even so the disability rights movement, I'd say it's still, it might have seemed like it's been coming on for ages, and it has, but there's been the needle has moved relatively slowly, right?
Yeah.
Exactly it. Now, just to give you from a
Before you carry on, because there's a second part to what Hubert has said, and Hubert, thank you for this. He says, if inclusion in urbanized Africa stays reactive, it's a dignity gap and a missed market opportunity, excluding persons with disabilities and the elderly with disposable income.
Wow.
So,
exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's where you were going towards.
Exactly. So building accessibility in from the beginning may increase a building project cost, may increase by less than 1%. Okay.
What?
While retrofitting can cost between 2 and 20% more.
Sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Making the adjustment after.
making the adjustment after the fact, right? So this is also adding on to the great cost of not accessible from the get-go, because if you build for access, less than 1% extra to the building, but so much more in retrofitting.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, Tarryn. What are some of the design and policy blind spots that you've encountered that we commonly seem to then resurface.
Not including persons with disabilities and senior citizens and a mother with a child in the focus group when they are busy with the designs from the onset, but rather inviting them afterwards when everything is
It's
done
done.
and then it's too late. So this is the biggest problem. I honestly, if we would do just but this alone, include all persons within the focus groups when you are designing the building.
Yeah.
And the same way that you pay consultants and that you pay people to partake, you pay the persons with the disabilities to partake in as well.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes a lot of sense.
We've got a
Yeah.
picture up there of you where it says reimagining mobility. It's a panel discussion happening there with Uber.
Yes. I was in a panel discussion for Uber in Johannesburg as they relaunched or I would say officially launched Uber Assist, even though the product has been in South Africa for quite a while. Uber Assist is a wonderful product of Uber that allows a person with a disability to feel, a little bit more secure, knowing that the driver has got, some basic knowledge that they would need to assist the person with ability getting onto the vehicle. So they've now got working with a company which specializes in disability advancements in South Africa. And so rightfully so, they're working with persons with disabilities to now look at how do they train their drivers. So they've gone and train their drivers properly to look at what kind of systems they can put within their technology so that people can, if you're a blind user, that you could potentially alert someone if you are in trouble, etc., etc. So they're really looking at access, and they've actually come and added, or at least served a huge gap in the market for transport. I myself am reliant on Uber to get around, as are many persons with disabilities, to be able to work and just do our basic needs.
I want to ask you something. This month is obviously Africa Month, and we're celebrating, just our African heritage and that. And where we're finding ourselves, and I'm listening to you now, and you play such a vital role within not just South Africa itself. I mean, I know you've been invited for places that are over. I know you were supposed to be in America. There was a few places you had to go to as well. Where's Africa finding itself? Because I just feel like you are extremely intricate in the part on sending information from Africa on the way forward. I think you're that vital link. And where do you find Africa at the moment, where you yourself find yourself trying to promote what you hear, obviously overseas, and using that concept in Africa?
I don't want to sugarcoat it. We've got a lot of problems in Africa, and this is obviously just my opinion. It's I'm looking at this from an access point of view and from the conversations that I have with people. What I find very interesting is that when I'm at like exhibitions like World Travel Market, where I interact with a lot of delegates all over Africa that are here selling Africa, is that they are looking to South Africa as the lead on how they can become more accessible. And they speak to me and they, Tarryn, how can we get you into our country? How can you come and help us? And so South Africa is not, we better keep on. Otherwise, I'm going to be working with other African countries.
You better stay here. You're not going anywhere.
So it's so inspiring to see the eagerness of other African countries saying, we're excited for change. We want to change. We know that Africa is a destination for tourism, has so much to offer. How can you help us? I know also that they look to South Africa for a lot of guidance from the construction side of things and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm excited to see that. Also, there's loads of innovation that is around Africa. And that is the amazing thing about Africans, because we have so much, constriction that we have to work in confines areas. this is also a great breeding place for innovation.
Yeah.
So true.
If I could honestly say in my utopia for Africa, this view of Africa, I could see it as one of the most accessible places that works in a way that is different to any other way, from any other land or any other people, but that we use our own culture and our own methods in the materials that we use from the earth, our own philosophies such as Ubuntu, and that we tie that into our design, and that we actually not just live our philosophy, but also build around it. And then in doing so, we have the opportunity to become, I think, a global superpower. But Africa has to, we have to focus on what's important.
So true, so true.
Tarryn, my final question that I've got for you tonight, and this is the easy one. I left it for last. Yeah. Quickly and very quickly, if you had to describe your lived experience, advise us on a forward-looking frame regarding accessibility. What would it entail? In a perfect world, if you had to just have a magic wand and do this, what would it look like?
It would look like acceptance of all people as they are. And it would look like, how do we build around that? And I think it would look not perfect, because there's no such a thing. And I actually believe that challenges exist for really good reasons and barriers. So I don't ever think that there's that. But I think in an ideal world for me, the first step would be actually just to open up the communication and work with persons with disabilities.
Yeah.
So if we can get that part right, to just include people in the planning, include people in give them the skills necessary to even learn architecture, focus on persons with disabilities learning architecture. Include so that we can start breaking down those paradigms from the inside out and start changing up systems, etc. Because the very, very, very unfortunate part is that our technologies are way more advanced and ahead of what our mentality of the people that are building our buildings are.
Wow.
Right? Like, not just them, people in politics, people in power, people that are ruling, and the systems that are in place are archaic in terms of what our technologies are producing.
Wow.
And we, as human beings, need to be able to close that gap by stop with us, thinking of differences, etc. Technology doesn't think like that. Like Google works because spiders and engines, there's a connectivity of everything.
So true.
Everything is connected, right?
Yeah.
But yet we as people at top think us, them, this is important, that's not important. If it's there, but we can sidestep these people. We cannot function if we don't function in harmony. And that seems to be the hardest thing for human beings to conceptualize.
I think you summed it up perfectly, because I will often spot that as well. In any organization, the decision makers have a macro view of what is happening. Everybody in the organization just sees, they micro, and the tools always mismatch. So we will say, why are we doing this? Why did the boss, why must we sell the, what I mean? This doesn't work. They're not cold facing. We hear all of this, but pivots have happened. Do you know what I mean? But you don't even know you're pivoting, or as an organization. And maybe it is that continuation that needs to take place.
Definitely.
Yeah. But Tarryn, listen, it is always fascinating talking to you. Sorry, I just assume you're done.
Anything else you wanted to say, Tarryn, before Dougal interrupted? Your last words.
I think I think I've pretty much said it all, but that I just like really like to stress that yeah, our systems of thinking and our fear-based way of being is gonna be the thing that collapses us as a humanity and Africa as well. And unless we start getting that fear-based thinking out of the way and start building so that everybody has a place, we're gonna, I think, hopefully AI will help us. It will probably
Oh,
be more
yeah.
intelligent in being able to understand the self-destructive path we are going down by living like cancers, right?
Yeah.
Individual beings. But with regards to how we can shift as humanity each and every day, we can make a decision to invite someone with a disability into our space, to offer work opportunities, make the
Oh, yeah.
position open for persons with disabilities, find out how you can make it inclusive. If you've got a place of work, it's your business, widen the doorway to be 900 millimeters, where you
Wow.
can find a way to make a ramp. There's so many free resources that you can find online. It
Yeah.
starts with all of us just saying, okay, this is not a us and a them thing. This
Exactly.
is a us.
So true.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, it is.
Thank
It
you
is.
so much.
Listen, as always, it is so
Wow.
insightful to chat to you, and you always come and you land with something odd, and like, always like it's in my head a day or two later still.
So true.
So yes, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us here on Mahala Monday. Much appreciated, Tarryn.
Thank you, Tarryn. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me back again. I love chatting with you guys, and it's always inspiring to see just the work that you continue to do and push so that we can gather around and get the information as the communities that we need. So thank you to you and your team for all of your hard work, and we'll chat soon.
Definitely.
Pleasure. Yeah,
Thank
hope
you,
to see
thank
you soon. Yeah, Rhoda does all
Yeah,
the hard
but
work. I just come here and read the stuff.
You just said to be pretty, Dougal.
You just sit here and be pretty. Yeah.
But the easy job.
Thank you, Tarryn.
Take care.
See
Thanks.
you.
Tarryn Tomlinson, everybody. Thank you very much again to Tarryn. Yes. Tarryn Tomlinson. Yeah, it's always great having her. Whenever she's
Always,
here, there's
always,
always
always.
something that you can really take along. And of course, if
Definitely.
you want to get in touch with Tarryn, of course, we have the details for you there as well. On the screen, we added very, very easy to get
Hold
in
over.
touch with Tarryn. So liveablegroup.com, and yeah, you can follow on Instagram as well. She's always doing something really fantastic, so you can do that as well. So there it is, liveablegroup.com. You can also email her at thegroup.com, and there it is, as simple as that.
Definitely.
Yes, Rhoda.
Yeah. So Dougal, somebody actually asked me, which was quite funny. This weekend, actually, funny enough.
Yes.
They were like, Rhoda, why is all your switches so low? So I bought a house, and it was something that I kind of, me being not a short or average lady, I would say I'm a little bit higher, taller than an average woman.
Yeah.
And I actually was like, oh, okay. And then small things that I noticed, there was a ramp in front of my house as well. So obviously, somehow, it was accessible to somebody. Obviously, it was in a wheelchair. So, and it never actually crossed my mind. And then I thought to myself, exactly what Tarryn was saying about the switches, how high everybody's switches are in the house. And mine is quite low.
Yeah.
And I would just thought it was a kid in the house that they wanted them to switch a light on and off. But obviously, it was another reason.
Listen,
Crazy.
do you know, it's like, it's weird when we think about design. Like, I always think of optimizing all the space. Place we used to stay had a huge foyer.
Yeah.
But it was wasted space because in my mind, that was for RDP houses. There was nothing. There was glass and a door.
And a door.
It's a foyer.
Yeah.
That's all it is. What purpose does it serve? It welcomes you into grandeur. You don't welcome anybody into grandeur. I'm going to see you. What grand is this? I'm just saying. So my point is, it's like a bit of a wasted space. But I remember one of the biggest things in terms of design floors, I always figured, my son had like a very small room at one stage, and I thought to myself, all the space is here. It's not on the floor. So it was utilizing all of that. So now you're thinking loft beds, you're thinking
we
live
go.
under the bed, you're thinking these sort of things. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
And we
yeah.
all know like a loft bed, like a sort of studio
Yeah.
design is fantastic because we use it. Now, when we do that in work and livable spaces, surely we can do it. We can need smaller space. We've seen this in the
Exactly.
Far East where people
Yeah.
live in the cupboard.
Yes.
Do you know what I
small
mean?
Spaces and
Because
they
they're
make
all
use
on
of it.
top of each other, right? So surely, and we praise these things. We go, oh, look how clever, look how clever. The guy's in the cupboard like a Dracula, here he comes. I'm just saying, the point is,
Exactly.
we gotta
Start
come up
looking at
with this sort of innovations, you know what I mean? And especially, we just have to.
We have to.
We,
All inclusive at the end.
yeah. Like Tarryn said, it's just a simple thing. If you retrofit it, like she said,
Yes.
I mean, if you just listen to what she said there. Yeah. Anyway.
Cost more.
Thank you very much for the comments that came through, and keep the conversation going there on the comment sections. Once again, thank you very much to Tarryn Tomlinson for joining us. As always, what a pleasure to have her. And Rhoda will be then back very soon, of course.
Very soon. We'll see you at the next Mahala Monday show.
Yes, and we'll see you soon. And of course, a lot happening over this month. We'll be talking a lot of things Africa, of course.
Yeah.
Because of Africa Month and all of that. That is what we're going to do. And please, if you're out there, just remain safe. We know it is a bit treacherous in parts. Please be safe, and also just spare thought to everybody else who might be affected. But yes, celebrate Africa Day. That is coming towards the end of the month, the 25th. I don't know what the 25th is. I think it's a Sunday.
Is it a Sunday?
It's a Friday.
Is it?
It's a Monday. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday. It's one of them days.
We'll see.
I have 7 guesses. It is a
Stay
Monday.
warm, everyone, and stay dry.
Until next time, cheers, everybody.
Bye.